Welcome to this course on Journey of the Universe Conversations. This educational series is a sequence of interviews with 10 scientists and historians and 10 environmentalists who are involved in implementing this bridging across this relationship of a new story of our emergence from the universe and the way in which that story is being implemented now in on-the-ground projects. It's really an amazing discussion, an interview that Mary Evelyn conducts with these 20 individuals, in which they begin to not only explore ways in which theory and our understanding of the universe is emerging, but also how this is impacting our projects with regard to cities, with regard to solar energies, new technologies, and our understandings of how economics relates to the larger Earth community. So this relationship then, in this Journey of the Universe course, Conversations, is exploring new ways of knowing, in ways in which our understanding of a functional cosmology interrelates with an understanding of a living universe. So many of these individuals were exploring these very practical and also the story quality, the narrative quality of our emergent story. Yeah.
Right. What we were trying to do was take up the conversation after the film and the book with individuals, scientists, historians, and environmentalists, as John has said. But many of these individuals have been inspired by the sense that their knowledge, their contributions, their work is enhanced by this larger context of a story, of an epic of evolution, of deep time. And so the scientists, for example, are suggesting that understanding of stars and galaxies needs to be related to the understandings of life and plants. And then what is a deeper significance, as Ursula Goodenough says, and she talks about the cell, and it's the sense even of a self in a cell. It's quite astonishing. She talks about motility and reproduction and how the membrane discerns what comes in and out. And she's saying these are the qualities of a self. So she's helping us to understand the development of a cell, the characteristics of a cell, and how the multicellular life exploded and expanded on this globe for plants and animals and humans, all life.
Yes, and this becomes very interesting then to see how a biologist, a cell biologist, reflects in light of the earlier scientific voices who were talking about the primal flaring forth of the universe in the sense of dark matter, dark energy. So the relationship between these different scientific voices is placed in relationship to individuals from the social sciences and the humanities to begin to explore how there are multiple ways of knowing that are coming to bear on this story. For example, in the interview that we did together, we took on the question of human origins, and it's a fascinating discussion to think about the role of narrative in the emergence of the human family, the sense of shared story, and how communities then build themselves around what we're calling cosmologies, or even religious cosmologies, narratives that bind communities together, and how these are adapted over time. So this conversational series is a fascinating discovery of how different voices provide portals for understanding shared questions across the natural sciences, social sciences, and the humanities. So in this course, we will undertake explorations that are really providing a framing, they're framing new ways of understanding how these narratives orient us and ground us and nurture us and transform us, which I think is a perspective that you've also spoken of.
Well, I think those are words that we've developed to suggest how cosmology is not just an abstraction, that cosmology is a living cosmology within a living universe, as you've said. In other words, what we're suggesting with the scientists is there's an orientation to the universe, to the emergence of stars and planets and galaxies and our solar system. We're actually oriented to something vast and complex, and yet inspiring. And then those talking about the emergence of Earth, like Craig Cockle and the plate tectonics, are giving that sense of grounding in this planetary system, 4.6 billion year old system, and life with the biologists and chemists and the animals. Scott Sampson talking about the diversity and even culture of animals. So we're grounded on the Earth, and then the sense that cosmology also nourishes us, nurtures us. So we have Penny Livingston talking about food and permaculture and how that's growing food through permaculture and certainly through biodynamics is aligning the human with the unfolding powers of Earth systems, Earth processes, and so on. And how we do that, as you've said, in cities and so on, but also how we transform ourselves in terms of issues like race, of difference. We're not saying this is a monolithic, only unity is the goal here. We've got Carl Anthony talking about issues of race and how reading Thomas Berry's book, Dream of the Earth, completely transformed his sense of identity as African American.
And in that sense also, when the Navajo Dene teacher David Begay speaks about his people's relationship with stars, we encounter this effort to grope, to find language, and certainly David is speaking in terms of his own Navajo language, how to express these ideas. But he brings us into a rather powerful understanding of his people's entry into deep time. And so his discussion of the speaking of stars as in the past, in the present, and how we move towards the future, the way he explores deep time and its presence today is a really remarkable dimension of this course, A Journey of the Universe, the Conversations, in the way in which we are trying to, again, see the ways in which an emerging universe story does not simply locate us in a past or tell us about the future that we're going, but somehow brings us into the living character of a narrative that places us within the universe.
That's right. And the sense then of the integration of knowledge and action, of inspiration of this story, but of the perspiration of the work on the ground, if you will. As Thomas Berry would say, it's the functional cosmology and it's the great work. And examples of that are throughout these conversations, in particular the eco-economics. We need an economics that, as Dick Norgard would say, is cooperative and co-evolving over time, gives us that sense of alignment. And education as well will hopefully transform over time. On all levels, we have got Montessori education already doing this sense of a universe story. High schools are beginning to teach it, and Tom Collins speaks about that. This sense that education can take up this context for how we live our lives, what our professions might be, and this search for meaning and our role in the scheme of things. So that's the invitation here. The great work on the ground, the inspiring story, and we hope that you will find your way in this journey of the universe.